Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Now with today's main headlines. Following calls from Shia clerics, Hindu temples set rules for respecting and sanctifying religious places. Several people injured after blast rips through building in central Paris. Misbah al-Hussein Foundation urges Iraqi governors to restore border crossings ahead of Arba'een pilgrimage. Imam Hussein Holy Shrine preparing for Arafah for Eid al-Adha. Assalamu alaikum dear viewers, this is Hussein Jawad and you're watching Shia Waves live from Imam Hussein TV 3 in London. Religious sites in India, Hindu institutions and temples in the Indian state of Uttar Pradesh have announced the implementation of previous decisions of Shia institutions in the country which call for respecting and sanctifying places of worship and religious sites. These institutions, according to what was published by the Indian television network News 18 and followed Shia Waves agency, that the call of a number of Shia clerics between the years 2019 and 2020 to respect the sanctity of religious and worship places reflected positively on the visitors and their moral commitment even in their dress. The Indian network added that prominent Hindu temples across Uttar Pradesh have decided to impose a ban on the visitors who do not adhere to the modest dress code during their presence in such places, pointing out that at least 12 temples in different areas of the state have so far implemented these rules, and the number is still to increase. It explained that these moves can come in response to the call of Islamic institutions and Shia clerics on the necessity of respecting and sanctifying holy places through decent clothes whenever being in such places. The network concluded that the religious rules imposed also include a ban on wedding photography, respect for people's privacy, and a ban on the publication of immoral images or manifestations influenced by Western culture. A powerful explosion tore through a building in Paris today, leaving several people injured. The blast occurred in a populated area, shaking the surrounding neighborhood and sending shockwaves throughout the city. The blast was so intense that it shattered windows, damaged nearby structures, and sent debris flying into the streets. Reports indicate that several people have been injured in the explosion. The exact number is yet to be confirmed. Emergency services and paramedics quickly arrived at the scene, providing immediate medical assistance to the wounded. The injured individuals were transported to nearby hospitals for further treatment. Authorities have assured the public that every effort is being made to ensure their safety to provide the necessary support to those affected. The Misbah al-Hussein Foundation for Relief and Development, one of our Karbala-based centres affiliated to Grand Ayatollah Shirazi, has reiterated its commitment to continue its service activities for the honourable pilgrims of the holy shrines, especially those who come on the Arba'een pilgrimage. The spokesperson of the foundation, Ahmed Mendi, said in a statement to Shia Waves agency today on Thursday that the foundation is increasing its efforts to provide a comfortable atmosphere for the Arab and foreign pilgrims who come to perform pilgrimage to the infallible imams in Iraq. Mendi added that members of the foundation visited a number of Iraqi provinces which have border crossings with neighbouring countries, and they called on the governors of those provinces to renovate those crossings to facilitate the movement of pilgrims. It should be mentioned that the Misbah al-Hussein Foundation has continued holding its weekly meetings on its developmental project Holy Karbala Vision 50 Million Pilgrims during the Arba'een Pilgrimage 2030, which aims at accommodating the largest numbers of pilgrims. Let's remind our respected viewers of today's headlines. Following calls from Shia clerics, Hindu temples set rules for respecting and sanctifying religious places. Several people injured after blast rips through building in central Paris. Misbah al-Hussein Foundation urges Iraqi governors to restore border crossings ahead of Arba'in pilgrimage. Also tonight, China ranks as the most dangerous state for its citizens. Civil rights reports finds. Imam Hussein Holy Shrine preparing for Arafah Eid al-Adha. The Security and Audit Department of Imam Hussein Holy Shrine declared its readiness to hold the Arafah pilgrimage and Eid al-Adha, with 3,000 volunteers participating in the security and service program. The head of this department, Rasul Abbas Fadlallah, said according to the directives of the Guardian of Husseini Shrine, the plan for the Arafah and the Eid al-Adha pilgrimage ceremonies has been completed with the coordination of the security and service institutions of Karbala province. Fadlallah added 3,000 volunteers from different provinces of Iraq participate in this project. Advanced cameras have been installed with active facial recognition system. He further continued, adding that these cameras provide the possibility of tracking and monitoring suspicious cases as well as identifying wanted people by the Iraqi judicial security system. The security official concluded by saying that the number of the cameras around the center of the older part of the city and the Holy Shrine reaches 1,800 cameras. He emphasized that the plan had been prepared based on a past year reports of the Pilgrims Traffic Department, the Explosive Detection Department, the Civil Defense Department, and some other concerned departments. And now we continue with some short news. The Hajj delegation of Grand Ayatollah Shirazi in Holy Mecca is increasing its efforts and activities to serve the honourable pilgrims. The correspondent of Shia Waves agency said that the Hajj delegation of the Supreme Religious Authority, Grand Ayatollah Sayyid Sadiq al-Hussein Shirazi, in Holy Mecca has continued to carry out various service and religious activities. He added that the delegation has been holding religious and cultural activities as well as holding ceremonies on Ahl al-Bayt, peace be upon them, noting that a mourning ceremony was organized on the remembrance of al-Banin, peace be upon her. A new report by UNICEF reveals 28% of Lebanese families have had to send their children to work to survive economic burdens, which is a 7% increase from last year. In addition, a staggering 86% of families reported that they do not have enough money to purchase basic essentials, up to 76% from last year. The report also showed that 30% of families reported that at least one of their children did not attend school. The UNICEF report also highlights the issue of period poverty, with over half of respondents saying that the women and girls in their households do not have enough female hygiene items. The UNICEF representative in Lebanon warns that the compounding crisis facing the children of Lebanon is threatening to destroy any hope for a better future. Qasim Al-A'raji, Iraq's National Security Advisor, met with Vanessa Fraser in New York on Wednesday to discuss the situation at El Hol camp. Ms. Fraser serves as Malta's ambassador to the United Nations and its head of the Security Council Sanctions Committee against the extremist Sunnis of Daesh and Al-Qaeda. Also in a speech in New York, Iraqi's National Security Advisor emphasized the necessity of dismantling the El Hol camp in Syria, which is linked with the extremist terrorist groups. Iran sets record of the hottest city on the planet according to OGIMET weather service data. Last night, Zabul, a city in the north of Sistan and Baluchistan province of Iran, recorded the highest temperature among more than 8,800 mined synoptic weather stations, with a temperature of 50.8 degrees Celsius. Last night, in addition to Zabul, some other new temperature records were also recorded in the southeast of Iran. Zahak, a town about 27 kilometers away from Zabul, recorded a temperature of 50.6 degrees Celsius for the first time in the last 30 years. It should be mentioned that scientists have already warned of rising temperatures globally due to climate change and environmental pollutions. German woman sentenced to prison for enslaving Yazidi woman. A German woman has been sentenced to 9 years in prison for her involvement in enslaving a Yazidi woman. The defendant, who joined the Islamic State in 2015, actively participated in the enslavement and abuse of Yazidi women. The Yazidi women who managed to escape testified against the accused, shedding light on the unimaginable horrors endured by her and others. The German court handed down a 9-year prison sentence to the defendant, recognizing her active involvement in the enslavement and abuse of the Yazidi woman. The judge acknowledged the severity of the crimes committed and emphasized the need to send a strong message against human rights abuses. The Guardian newspaper has recently reported that Human Rights Measurement Initiative, HRMI, a New Zealand-based project, has been monitored various countries' human rights performance since 2017. China has emerged as the most dangerous state when it comes to safeguarding the civil rights on its own citizens. The findings, which have sent shockwaves through the international community, highlight the urgent need for scrutiny and action to protect fundamental freedoms within the country. The report examined the state of civil rights in China over the past decade. It analyzed various aspects of citizens' lives, including freedom of expression, assembly, association, and access to justice. Freedom of expression in China had been tightly controlled, with the government employing extensive censorship mechanisms to suppress dissenting voices. The report reveals an alarming pattern of harassment and imprisonment and forced disappearances targeting activists, journalists, and human rights defenders. The Chinese government consistently restricts the right to peaceful assembly, viewing it as a potential threat to its authority. Peaceful demonstrations, especially those critical of government policies, are met with swift and often violent crackdowns. We have reached the end of today's Shia Waves show. Let's remind our dear viewers of today's main headlines. Following calls from Shia clerics, Hindu temples set rules for respecting and sanctifying religious places. Several people injured after blast rips through building in central Paris. Imam Hussein Foundation urges Iraqi governors to restore border crossings ahead of the Arba'in pilgrimage. Imam Hussein Holy Shrine preparing for Arafah on Eid al-Adha. China ranks as the most dangerous state for its citizens, civil rights report finds. You can view the latest news on our Shia Waves website and can send news of your city or country to be published on our news agency. Contact us on the numbers at the bottom of the screen. This is the end of today's news. Thank you very much for watching. We pray to Allah Almighty to hasten the reappearance of the Master of our time. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Kaaba to Rasulullah, it says, "O Muhammad, the house of God itself prostrates to your greatness.
Allah.
All men prostrate to the Kaaba. Even Adam falls on his toes. The house that Ibrahim had built prostrates to it even heroes. And yet whenever Muhammad falls prostrate upon the dust his nose, in its humility to God, the Kaaba to Muhammad bows. The Kaaba itself adores him. It waits for him 5 times a day. For the whole universe prostrates whenever Muhammad would pray. Allah. The heavens would circle his prayer as hellfires beneath him sway. And were time to be generous, he'd prostrate till his hairs turned grey. Seas of lovers have all circled the house of God just like seas. But this house becomes a lover when Muhammad's face its eye sees. It calls out when Muhammad's feet circle its foundations with ease. Please, O Allah, please give me legs so that I can circle him. Please, O Muhammad.